students. So this will be the last topic in the chapter of cell injury, and also the very important part where you have to study about some diseases and their dysfunction, what will happen inside the body if there is such kind of accumulation. We call it as intracellular accumulation. Intracellular means inside the cell there is a accumulation. So accumulation you can find inside a cell is mainly the cholesterol, that is mainly the lipids, lipids or fat is same, then carbohydrates also, proteins also. Okay, and also sometimes there is a toxins also, there is a accumulation. But here we will be studying more about the lipid accumulation and the carbohydrate accumulation inside the tissues, mainly inside the cell. So what will happen, what are the things happening, so in detail we will be studying here. So intracellular accumulation is the accumulation of abnormal amounts of the substances, of various substances, it's not if, of various substances in the cytoplasm or in the nucleus of the cell, in the cytoplasm or the nucleus of the cell. Fine. Then if there is a occurrence of the accumulation of a small amount of the substances for a shorter period, the cell injury is reversible. Whereas if there is a accumulation of larger amount of substances or the toxic substances that happens for a longer amount of time, which persists for a longer time, that can lead to the irreversible cell injury. Later on it can damage the whole tissues or the organs. Okay, so this is termed as intracellular accumulation. The abnormal constituents get accumulated inside the tissues or in the cytoplasm or nucleus of the cell. Okay, normally it will happen for a shorter time, but if it persists for a longer time, that leads to a irreversible cell injury. Shorter time, reversible cell injury. Fine. So intracellular accumulation, accumulating substances are categorized as follows: the normal constituents of a cellular metabolism, which have been produced in excess. That means if the substances produced by the lipid metabolism, if it is produced more, so it can lead to a irreversible, it can lead to a intracellular accumulation such as lipids, carbohydrates and proteins. One thing you have to remember, in the examination they will ask hyperlipidemia. What is hyperlipidemia? Excessive amount of the lipids in the blood or the plasma of the blood. So this is called as hyperlipidemia. And the fatty liver also they will ask. This is the thing. And glycogen infiltration. So three questions are very important under the intracellular accumulation. The question bank will be sent to you along with this, along with the audiovisual which have done today. So along with this you will be getting the question bank as well. Okay, in that you can compare what you have to study for the examination. Most of the questions, 10 marks, 5 marks, 2 marks are coming from this chapter. Okay, intracellular, then abnormal substances which are endogenously produced due to the defective synthesis or metabolism. Due to the defective synthesis or due to the defective metabolism, if there is an abnormal constituent has been produced. Then pigments that are endogenous and exogenous. Some of the pigments that are endogenous, exogenous, can also cause the intracellular accumulation. Then intracellular accumulation of the lipids, also called as lipoproteinemia or hyperlipidemia, you can call. Both are same. Lipoproteinemia or hyperlipidemia. Hyperlipidemia means more lipid. Lipoproteinemia means excessive accumulation of lipids. A major amount of lipids such as the triglycerides, cholesterol and its esters and phospholipids, etc., are capable of undergoing the intracellular accumulation. All this has the capacity to of undergoing intracellular accumulation. The first one is the fatty changes. That means excessive lipid in the tissues. Mainly you can find such kind of changes in the fatty liver. Mainly if the person is consuming more amount of the alcohol, in such person, the liver, it contains excessive amount of the fats and the liver will turn itself into a yellow color one. So this kind of changes is called as the fatty changes in the liver, or else you can call it as the steatosis. Okay, steatosis. Then it is also called as metamorphosis, where it is there is a accumulation of abnormal amount of triglycerides within the cytoplasm of the parenchymal cells. Okay, parenchymal cells, there is a excessive amount of triglycerides. Triglycerides will be present in excessive amount. That is due to the metabolism, lipid metabolism. Excessive triglycerides are produced in the mainly happening in the liver, because it is the site of the lipid metabolism. Mainly that occurs in the liver. Excessive triglycerides you can find in the parenchymal cells of the liver. So excessive triglycerides, in the sense the amount of fat in the liver will be more. Okay, so this leads to a fatty liver. Steatosis is mainly seen in the liver. Okay, because why? Because it is the site of the metabolism of the fats, of the lipids. It sometimes it can occur accumulating in the skeletal muscles, other than that cardiac muscles and renal tissue, but their occurrence is less compared to that of the liver, because it is a site of lipid metabolism. Then the functionality of the tissues gets impaired due to the severity of the accumulation. If the accumulation is less, then the amount of the severity of this uh, changes, I mean severity of the condition will be more. If the accumulation is more, the severity will be more. If the accumulation is less, the severity will get reduced. Then the functionality of the tissues gets uh, impaired due to the severity of the accumulation. Fine, that is what I was telling you. Then the functionality remains uh, that means the severity remains unaltered. That means if there is more accumulation, more severity. If there is a mild amount of the accumulation, that doesn't alter the activity of this liver. That means this doesn't cause any activity. Fine, I mean severity, it doesn't cause more amount of the severity of this changes. Fine, as the accumulation increases, the cellular functionality is the loss. So that is what I was telling you. Finally it can lead to the death. So these are the basic terms. You have to know what is the basic regarding the fatty changes. That means intracellular accumulation of the fat due to the excessive, I mean in steatosis, there is the excessive triglyceride that will be accumulated in the liver. That as a result, if there is a accumulation of more amount of the triglyceride, they can alter the physiological activity of this liver. But if it is mild accumulation, it doesn't alter the normal physiological activity. That is the basic things. Next we'll go with the etiology. You know what is the etiology? Etiology is the causes of this condition. Mainly the first one is alcohol consumption. Excessive alcohol consumption can lead to this. Then excessive dietary lipid deficiency. That means I mean sorry, it's not excessive. Decrease in the lipid consumption. That means dietary lipid consumption reduces, means it can lead to the condition. Then toxins such as CCl4, carbon tetrachloride, then chloroform. Okay, so ether, all this can lead to the cellular damage. So also it can lead to the hepatitis as well, cellular hepatitis. Okay, all these things. Then starvation, not eating for a longer time, it also can cause the liver damage. Then chronic diseases such as same thing, alcoholic liver diseases, we call it as. Then ALD, or hepatitis. Hepato means liver, itis means inflammation of the liver. The hepatocytes of the liver get inflamed. Okay, there is an excessive amount of these inflammatory agents which are deposited in the liver. As a result, the liver will get inflamed, swelling of the liver. So administration of some kind of steroids, and also estrogens is also a steroid, and tetracyclines. The other thing is paracetamol poisoning. So very important. This is the thing, that is the person who should not have consume more amount of the paracetamol. We call paracetamol as acetaminophen. So excessive consumption of this paracetamol, I guess so the 2000 mg is the normal, or 2 grams of paracetamol can be consumed per day. I don't know the correct value. Maybe sometimes it's 1.5, sometimes it's 2000. Mainly in the market nowadays, you'll get 1 gram tablet, that is 1000 mg tablet you'll get of the paracetamol, which is an extended release. You'll get it's like a bolus. I guess so. What you know, what is a bolus? Bigger size of the tablet. So bigger size tablet you'll get. It's round, bigger in size. Okay, so that tablets also you'll get if there is a excessive uh, anti-inflammatory, and it's also anti-inflammatory, not anti-inflammatory, it's antipyretic, antipyretic and analgesic. So to cure this uh, increased heat in the body, it can be taken. Nowadays some doctors they will write 1000 mg tablet, 1000 mg tablet. I don't know why they are writing so much strength, but excessive consumption also lead to this condition called as paracetamol poisoning. Next one is the pathogenesis. So what happens in the pathogenesis of this fatty liver, or you can call it as alcoholic liver disease, ALD. Both are similar. ALD or alcoholic liver diseases, both are similar, that is fatty liver steatosis. So when this etiological agent interfere with the normal cellular transport, that means cellular transport system, you know, active transport, passive transport, osmosis, then exor exocytosis, endocytosis, then in active transport, sympod, antipode, so many things, you know. So all this cellular transport, if these substances, whatever the etiological agents will interfere, that can lead to this condition, or metabolism of the fat that is occur normally, but if this pathological agents, etiological agent interfere with this, there can lead to this condition of the fatty liver. So normal lipid metabolism, how this happen? Initial step of this is free fatty acid FFA obtained from dietary sources, that is if you are consuming the oily substances, from there you'll get. Then from the adipose tissue into the hepatocytes. So there is a transportation of FFA, that is free fatty acids, and adipose tissue from the adipose tissue, transportation of FFA from adipose tissue and from the dietary sources, that is from fat which is converted to chylomicron, that you know the process. So fat gets converted to chylomicron in the intestine. Okay, so this absorbed fat along with the fat which is already stored in the adipose tissue, altogether they will move into the hepatocytes, okay, for the metabolism's sake. So in the hepatocytes, the FFA is getting acted by a enzyme called as alpha glycerophosphate, okay, that can esterify the FFA to the triglycerides. So triglycerides excess can lead to this condition, I told you. So in the hepatocytes, FFA get acted by alpha glycerophosphate, so which converts FFA into triglycerides, that is by the esterification process. So remaining some amount of the remaining FFA gets converted to cholesterol, then phospholipids and ketone bodies. Okay, triglycerides will be converted to lipoprotein. So this converted triglycerides from FFA, that is esterified FFA, also called as the triglycerides, now gets converted into lipoprotein, that is lipid along with the protein molecules by the lipid acceptor proteins, that is the lipid which gets accepted by the lipid acceptor proteins, forming uh, lipoprotein. So thus lipoprotein enters into the circulation. So later on it will be removed out, or it can be again stored in the body. Okay, So this is the normal lipid metabolism. But pathogenesis occur when is fatty liver occurs due to the impairment in one or the more event in the normal fat metabolism. So that is entry of the abnormal amounts of FFA in the liver. If the excessive FFA gets entered into the liver, more amount of triglycerides are formed. You know that. Then more amount of triglycerides. Not only triglycerides are formed, triglycerides gets converted into lipoproteins. Excessive amount of lipoproteins are formed. No, not only this, there is a conversion of this triglyceride. I mean FFA can be also getting converted into the cholesterol, phospholipid, so and so. So that means their level will get increased. Okay, cholesterol level will get increased in the body. So not only that, the increased synthesis of the fatty acids from the acetate by the hepatocytes. So this is the process. If you know the lipid metabolism, you can find the acetate there. Then decreased conversion of the fatty acids into ketone bodies. The fatty acids, mainly the triglyceride, fatty acid, free fatty acid, if the ketone body is formed, is less. That increases the conversion to Tg. That is, the more amount of fat FFA is getting converted into triglycerides, and very less is converted into ketone bodies. That also causes then increased rate of esterification. That is, if the esterification rate is more due to the increased level of alpha glucoglycerophosphate, that can lead to excessive Tg. Then decreased level of lipid acceptor protein, that means Tg getting converted into the lipoproteins. If this process in this process the lipid acceptor proteins is less, that can lead to this condition. Then blockade of secretion of lipoprotein in the circulation. So if the lipoprotein in the circulation is blocked, that means in the liver there is a excessive deposition of lipoprotein. So all this can lead to this condition called as the steatosis or fatty liver. So next one is cholesterol deposition. You can call it as hypercholesterolemia. That means excessive amount of cholesterol in the blood that result in the intracellular accumulation of the cholesterol and their esters in the macrophages. So macrophages gets converted into another cell called as a foam cell, mainly in the fatty plaques in case of atherosclerosis. So not only this, the stromal fatty infiltration, where there is a accumulation of the mature adipose tissue in the stromal connective tissue in the pancreas and in the heart. That is excessive amount of accumulation of more amount of this adipose tissue in the connective tissue in the pancreas and in the heart, but the condition doesn't impair the functionality of the organ. So that doesn't cause the change in the activity of the organ, but there is a accumulation you can find. So this thing you can write these three things. One is steatosis, then cholesterol deposition, and stromal fatty infiltration you can write for hyperlipidemia. So they may ask, what is hyperlipidemia? You can write deposition of abnormal amount of the various substance in the cytoplasm or nucleus in the cell. Okay, that means excessive amount of the lipids in the blood. Lipoprotein will be more anyhow. If the Tg is more, lipoprotein is more. Okay, so it can also lead to this condition. So these things you can write, no issue. Then we'll go with the next one, that is intracellular accumulation of carbohydrates, also called as the glycogen storage disease. Very very important for the examination. So you can call it as glycogen storage disease. So glycogen is the energy source found in the cytoplasm and is utilized for producing energy where it is required. So glycogen is converted into glucose, so glucose is converted into ATP, that you know. So the intracellular deposition of glycogen is seen when there is a defect in glucose or glycogen metabolism. Okay, so accumulated glycogen now appears in the vacuoles in the cytoplasm. So it can stain as the pink to violet with the best carmine or the periodic acid skiff reagent. So these the basic things you can know. So what will happen mainly is lipid if there is a impairment in the glucose or glycogen metabolism, it can lead to the intracellular accumulation of the glycogen. So this can lead to the condition called as the glycogen storage disease. So disorders of glycogen infiltration can one is the diabetes mellitus. So what it is, endocrinal disorder. If there is a pancreas doesn't produce more amount of the insulin, that can lead to this condition. Improper glucose utilization of the glucose, that means glucose breakdown is reduced, that then glycogen is converted into glucose, that is used for the source of energy, that then improper utilization of the glucose to their intracellular can lead to the intracellular accumulation of the glucose in the PCT and descending loop of Henle. So mainly this is distal part of the PCT. Distal means the lower part which is near to the ascending loop of Henle. Okay, ascending loop of Henle, descending, I mean near to the descending loop of Henle, that is on the left side while you draw. So I'll show you. So this is Bowman's capsule, glomerulus. This is PCT. Then that is descending loop. So here in the distal part, here this is called as the distal part of PCT, D PCT. So mainly the distal part of PCT, and here in this region, that is descending loop of Henle, you can find the accumulation of the glucose. Not only this, there is accumulation in the hepatocytes, accumulation in the hepatocytes, then beta cells of islets of Langerhans. So hence the insulin production is less due to the accumulation. Their normal physiological activity is lost. Okay. Next, myocardial cells. The myocardial cells also there is accumulation of the glucose. Next is glycogen storage disease, also called as the GSD. There are various types. I will just explain you some important one. For your information, you can refer some more types. No issue. I have given more because I can't again draw this. I have taken from the book. I guess so. This is visible for you. You can read it. Not an issue. In this, very important is one is this von Jerk disease. The next one is Pompey's disease, because these are there in the question bank. The next one is McCarthy's disease. So these three things I will explain you, because this video will be long, so I will explain you, but for your reference I have given more, so you can refer, because I will go with the question bank, because extra things no need of explaining, I guess so. So whatever there in the question bank, same thing will repeat in the examination, but for your knowledge, if you want to refer, I have given you, and refer from this. Okay. So these three things are important. Types of GSDs or glycogen storage disease. The type 1A or GSD1A, glycogen storage disease 1A, called as the von Jerk disease. In the question bank they had given GIERKE apostrophe S disease. They are not given von, so you can write it as von Jerk disease. So what it is it is mainly caused by the enzyme deficiency, that is the glucose 6-phosphatase in the liver. Okay, that helps in the conversion of this. I guess so you know more about this, because biochemistry again I won't go in detail. So glucose 6-phosphatase in the liver, So there is a deficiency. Not only that, in the kidney also and other organs in the body, this glucose 6 phosphatase is reduced. So what are the symptoms of this GSD? Is in the liver there is a excessive deposition of glycogen, that is causing the enlargement of the liver, then low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, then increased level of lactate, then lipid and uric acid in the blood. Lipids and uric acid in the blood can lead to this. These are the symptoms. Complication: chronic hunger due to the decreased blood sugar and swelling of the liver. Hepatomegaly, megaly means increased size. Then enlargement of kidneys due to the increased GSD, that is glycogen storage. Then proteinuria, that is increased amount of the protein in the urine or amino acids in the urine. High blood pressure, BP increases. Frequent bacterial and fungal infections such as pneumonia, mouth and gum infection, and chronic pancreatitis that can lead to the insulin deficiency. That means then can lead to DM, diabetes mellitus as well sometimes. Next one is we'll go with the type 2, also called as the Pompe's disease, where the acid alpha 1,6 glucosidase in the skeletal muscles and the heart deficiency you can find. So in the skeletal muscles and the heart, if this decreases, that can lead to the muscle weakness. Muscle weakness in the infants you can find. Then difficulty in breathing and enlargement of the heart. So increase in the muscle weakness means can lead to the enlargement of the heart as well. So next one is McArdle disease, that is also called as the type 5 GSD. So decreased glycogen phosphorylase in the skeletal muscle can lead to this. Then what are the complications such as what are the symptoms? Mainly muscle pain, muscle cramping, muscle fatigue. Fatigue means muscle wasting you can call. Then muscle tenderness brought down by the exercise. Okay, the increased level of serum creatinine kinase, then creatine kinase and myoglobinuria. Myoglobin in the urea will increase. Okay, so what are the complications? Muscle fatigue, muscle tendency and myoglobinuria, then hemolytic anemia. So these are the things. So I hope this chapter was understood. Very important chapter. A question bank will be attached with this. I will send you. Okay, thank you so much.